Hey guys, Busco Beep here. Obviously, with the desert expansion, I think they should really add some dirt bikes. Just so Heartless can kind of rip around and not feel the need to do it IRL and abandon the podcast.
Welcome to episode 221. I'm pretty sure I've said that 2 episodes in a row now. But we are back. It's me, Dilz and Heartless. It's felt like it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a week, right? Or has it been 2?
Yeah, so we did this like bonus episode, but it's been a while since we've done one of these the weekly.
Yeah, just you and me. Yeah, it has been a while. It has been a while.
Over a month. Things have been hectic, but things have been hectic in RuneScape too. So what are we going to be talking about this episode? Well, I am glad you asked. We have the Gielinor Gazette for August. So not a whole lot's going on there. Just kind of we'll go through it. We have Quest speedrunning. They are moving forward with the Quest speedrunning worlds. This weird new world system they're adding where you can speed run quests because people want to do that. So we'll go into that. But of course, Tomb of a Mascot is out. It came out, like 2 weeks ago. So we did this bonus episode. You'll see it in the feed right below this one or above, where Heartless, you came on with Deegan and Magpies, and everyone gave their opinion, their first impression, their day one opinions of the new raid that came out. But it has been a couple weeks since, so I think we have probably spent a little bit more time with it, so it'll be fun to go through. But yeah, we'll talk about the actual raid itself and where we are at and where the community is at, because if I'm not mistaken, there's been a bunch of drama, and Heartless, you have been boots on the scene, boots on the ground for it, sort of.
Yeah, it's funny because I wasn't able to play during the 2 days where the drama was happening, but I was able to be on my phone, so I could follow both sides of the story. So get those drama buttons ready, because there's going to be some big chat.
I love how you're just I was away for 2 days. You can go, you step away from not even just the game, you just step away from Reddit for 2 days. You come back and someone set the whole place on fire.
Yeah, it was wild.
Oh boy. Well, that's very fitting. But yeah, how's everything going on your end? You've got school coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's Sunday and I start on Tuesday. So it's new school. I've been working for the last, maybe 10 days or so, getting the classroom ready and getting ready for the year. And I've managed to plan 3 days. So we're getting there. But I got the classroom together, teaching 2-3 this year. Mostly grade 2s. It should be a lot of fun. New school. I've met all the staff. Everyone seems friendly. So,
is it a grade 2-3 split class?
It is a split. Yeah, it is a split.
Interesting. So, do you get nervous before the new school year?
Oh man, of course. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm super nervous. I know I'm gonna be fine. When everything settles out. But yeah, it's always nervous being in a new school, meeting new kids.
Yeah, true.
It'd be a little easier if I'd been in the school a while and knew because you get to know pretty much everyone in the school if you're there for long enough. So you know who's coming through, and you kind of know them a little bit, and they'll know you, so it won't be as weird. But yeah, this will be a little bit harder of a transition. So I've got some fun activities planned for the first day and try to get to know each other.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the first couple days is always kind of, when I remember being in elementary school, yeah, the first couple days is always pretty fun. The split classes are kind of a weird one. I've been in a few of them as the student. Do you think that's going to be a bit challenging, or do you think it'll be?
I think naturally it will be challenging. It depends on what the split is on the age, though. They all may seem similar, but if you haven't been in classrooms, they all learn different things at different ages. So I've mentioned before, but K is letters, numbers. Grade 1 is words, sentences. It really starts to ramp up. So if you're doing a K1 split, it's really hard because some kids will be ready to learn how to read and others won't know anything. So you really have to work a lot harder. But 2-3 isn't so bad because most of them can read, and the curriculums are kind of similar, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, that's gonna be
3-4 can be another one that's hard because 3s are very much primary kids, and then by the time they're in grade 4, they're starting to get little bit more socially aware, so they can be a pretty big like age gap divide in your children.
Mm.
And then as you get older, it's like less of a big deal. But yeah,
I was
2-3 should be fine. It looks like all my 2s are like really strong, and then I only have a handful of 3s, and they're like a little bit lower academically. So it's gonna. I think it'll work out.
Yeah, that should be. I remember being in a few of them. They were fine, except for one class. When I was in grade 8, it was a grade 7-8 split. But the school that I went to was like, it was like the dumbest school I've ever. It was like pretty dumb. Have you seen the show Community?
No.
I know some of the people listening will be familiar with that show, but
I've heard of it. It's popular.
Yeah, it's basically this community college that's like really, really dumb. Like it's just like a really dumb school. Just the way they do things and their policies and all that stuff. That's how the school I went to was. And the 7-8 split, they put all like the really smart kids in there because I guess they just assumed, okay, listen, this teacher's not going to teach you anything. So we'll put the smartest kids. You guys can teach yourselves, or you'll just be fine not learning for a year. But then a few students got grouped in that were just like, well, the other classes are full, so you guys are just going to bleed into this other split class. And I was one of those students. I wasn't that smart. I didn't do well academically in school, and I didn't learn anything that year. But not only that, I like lost knowledge. Like I'm pretty sure I just completely lost knowledge. We had to do.
Oh, no.
When you were in school, did you have to do this where every month is like this character matters? It's like courage or respect. Like they had a word for every single month. And then we had this. It must be like an Ontario thing because
it might just be your school, or your teacher.
Well, I was in a couple schools and they all had this. And then every month it'd be like courage. And then a couple classes would get chosen to do some sort of assembly performance. I don't even know. They had to do something that had the theme of courage. So a few classes would get picked. And then it could be like a little play or like I don't even know it's just like random stuff. And in grade 8, our class got chosen for, I don't know, like respect or some, I don't even remember what word it was. And our teacher wrote this like literally hour and a half long play. Like it was this huge play. And we spent all year getting ready for it, like making props and practicing it. And then we did the play in front of the school like 4 different times. And then we also did it after school for the teachers. And like, I remember just being like, what the fuck? What the hell are we doing? Like we're supposed to be learning math right now. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, we never did that, so
it was pretty dumb.
Oh well.
Yeah. Anyways, it's yeah. But okay, so
insights into the Ontario school. So yeah, school's coming up. So I have been really busy, and the next few weeks will be quite chaotic. So we will try to record, but our scheduling has gotten even more complicated because you're now 4 hours ahead of me.
Yeah. Yeah, a little behind the scenes. We're always 3 hours now that I moved to the East Coast, and you're on the complete West Coast of Canada. We're quite far.
We can't get further apart from each other in Canada, really.
I can go to Newfoundland, and we could add another 30 minutes.
Yeah, if you're in Labrador, you have the 4.5 hour difference.
Oh boy,
brutal, man.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out, but it might just take a little bit. So here we are, the final hurrah of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice time off. I wish I had gotten a few more drops in RuneScape, but luck can't always go your way. I did manage to get, you'll notice last week, I was just itching to do Tombs of Mascot because we did a 2.5 hour podcast the day after it came out. And I was just losing it, dude. I was like, I need to be in the tombs right now.
Yeah.
So immediately after that pod, I went to the tomb. So I apologize if I was a bit like shaky or irritated, because that's why I just really wanted to raid because it's that much fun. I went into the raid.
I didn't get the vibe, but maybe someone will go back and listen and they'll be like, oh, I hear a little twinge of...
Man, I was standing podcasting for the last hour. That's why I pulled my mic up and I was just standing. So there's an insight into how I was feeling. I was basically like that, yeah. So anyways, I did a Toa run after and I pulled a purple. I got the Eladinus's ward. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a fine item. It seems relatively common.
Okay.
It gives you a max hit with your Sang. I don't think it's going to be particularly useful if you manage to pull a shadow, which is like the ultimate goal.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, that's the dream, right? So you can just pull the big stick, and then I don't think you'll really use the ward too much. So my current plan is to get full Masori and the Fang, and then just go back to Nex.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes, because the Fang is really, really, really good at Nex. It's like a 25% DPS increase.
Wow, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. So that's the plan. We're gonna get our butts in Masori and a Fang, and the Fang seems to be like relatively common. It's one of the more common items. So I'll just be running solos. It's all I've really done is solos.
Okay.
I think the purple rate is a little bit lower, but we'll talk about like the rates and like the drama that happened with it later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the move will eventually I've done I did a 300, which is an expert on day 2, late at night, and it was challenging, but I did enjoy completing that.
And you did complete it. Nice.
I did. Yeah, it was a bit butt clenching at the end, but we got it done. But obviously people are starting to figure out the raid a little more, so it's gotten a bit easier. So I think I'll be able to farm 300s as soon as I get a little bit more comfortable with certain parts of the raid.
Cool.
But yeah, it's not too far out of reach. So yeah, that's been my week. I have to say that the regular drops on the table are just incredible. Like the toad flax seeds, the Ranar seeds, mostly just the seeds. They're just like so Iron Man friendly. There was really no way to get Snapdragon seeds before this. And the only way to get Ranars and toad flax for like brews and restores and prayer pots was from Master Farmers. So this kind of just gives you a PvM avenue. And it's good because it still like incentivizes you to farm, because you still have to go farm those seeds. So it's not like it's just slapping thousands of cleaned herbs on you or something.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's a really nice update. And they're lobbing you like 20 toad flax seeds at a time, which definitely will help people that are looking to complete Nex in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's been my experience. How have you liked Toa so far? What's your experience been like?
I was like thinking before we started recording, how much do we talk about in the beginning and how much afterwards? Because we did our first impressions. There's some things that I've said since then. My opinion has shifted in certain ways, but I've been doing it not as much as I would like. So the reason you and I haven't really been able to record, you did a few episodes with Deegan and all that, is because I was in the middle of moving from Ontario out east to New Brunswick, which is like just north of Maine. And we're all settled in now, it was a bit of a fun road trip. I haven't left my province too often, so this was like a big deal for us. I mean, I think moving that much anyways it's probably a big move, but it was even bigger because I haven't really left Ontario that much. So I was super excited, and it's really nice out here. Lots of seafood. I've never really had much seafood before, but I had some like lobster, and it was good.
We have to get the Dilz like IRL updates from
start vlogging.
Yeah, from NB. It's going to be huge. It's like Sea Engineers, a Swedish culture, but yours for East Coast culture.
Yeah,
I guess you have to spend a little time there, and then you'll start to figure out what's going on. I'm sure we have some people who live in New Brunswick as well, right? So
I know there's a bunch in Ontario, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But people are so nice out here too. Like, it's just one thing I've noticed is everyone is so friendly, and it's not like in Ontario they're very polite, but here they're like friendly. Like, I get roped into like a like small talk, like a conversation, just trying to buy wine from the store, and you're like, just holding up the line because you're got into like a 4-way conversation talking about that specific wine.
Looks like you're going to be playing some RuneScape tonight. You got yourself a bottle of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Love the podcast. You're going to be recognized left and right out there.
But yeah, so I haven't really been able to do a whole lot of Toa. It feels so weird to say.
We can just call it Tombs if it's easier.
Yeah, Tombs. I haven't done a whole lot of them. I've done some entry modes, and then I was trying to do some solo normals. And I know we're going to get into it, but I find it kind of tough. I have been able to complete it, but it was definitely not as easy as some people are talking about it like it is on Reddit. And I'm not that great of a player. I think some people listen to the podcast and they think I'm really good at this game, and then we talk in game and they're like, oh, you kind of suck. I'm not great. But that being said, I'm a high level. I've done a bunch of PvMing, so I think I'm a little bit above the average. If you took every single player who ever played this game, I'm probably in like the 60%.
You are. You've done like most of the bosses now, so
Yeah, but it's tough. But it's a lot of fun, and I guess we'll talk a little bit about it now before we go in, and we'll talk more about the drama because there's a lot going on. So in this new raid, they have these 4 bosses. I'm assuming people haven't listened to the day 1 impressions, but there's these 4 bosses. But before each boss, you have like this puzzle in each of the and each puzzle is different. And I really liked that at first. I was like, this is awesome. This is cool. I love the puzzles. I like these little thinkers where I need to like do math. And they're really cool. And then I realized that like, man, it really doesn't feel like they put a lot of effort into these puzzles. It's like they made the concept or the format of the puzzle, and then they just kind of like, okay, let's do like 6 different versions of it. Like really not that many. Where like to the point where you go in, you're like, oh, it's this setup again. I've already done this.
I don't know, man. I kind of like them because you have to optimize how you do the puzzles. So like in a solo, you can guaranteed 2 down the crocodile room.
Right. Yep. Because it's like this obstacle hollowed sepulcher thing where you run and dodge these things. And there's 4 different rooms that you need to run through these obstacles, but they're static. So they're always the same.
So people have found like a tick perfect way to do it, whereas like you enter and you immediately click on this space. But there's also like a safer way to do it where you can just do the first one and then wait in the middle, ice barrage the crocodile when he comes out, and then do the second one, and then the tree's done. So there are ways to like complete these rooms relatively quickly.
Yeah, and
which I find interesting. I really suck at the 1 down. I have 95 mining or 94 mining. So I have the high mining to 1 down the puzzle room, but I always end up not being able to do it correctly. So that's going to take a little bit more time. But yeah, I think they're fun, but I see where you're coming from. I used to hate the monkey room, by the way. You remember last week I was like tripping on the monkey room, and I think it's only annoying because of how long it is, but I've come to like it a little bit more. It's different than Nilo's because you're not like under pressure to complete it in a certain time frame. Like Nilo's is like, man, these spiders are coming down at me, and if I don't kill them quick enough, like this room is gonna collapse and I'm gonna die. Whereas in the monkey room, it's like, well, you know, if you're a little slow with the monkeys, you're not gonna die. There's gonna be a lot of venom on the ground, and you can just avoid it or just use an anti-venom or whatever. So it's less stressful than Nilo room, which makes it, I think, quite a bit more enjoyable. And there are ways to optimize it, I think. So it's still not my favorite room, but I've come to like it a little bit more than I used to.
It is definitely still like my favorite of the 3, I think. So going back to the room before the Zebek, the crocodile, Krondis, the path of Krondis, you have this hollowed sepulcher style obstacle course. There's like these 4 rooms. You got to run, grab some water, put it on this tree. And yeah, you mentioned you can like, there's a way you can just boom, you run in, run out, and you can probably smash it in under 30 seconds, like really, really quick. The problem I have with it is like, when I did a hollowed sepulcher, it doesn't feel intuitive. And I've talked about this before. Anytime you have these movement-based things, it doesn't feel intuitive because of how the game engine is. But it's like the crocodile challenge, the puzzle, it's way less intuitive than any other obstacle things like hollowed sepulcher, because I'll just click and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get hit by everything, and I get hit by nothing. I'm like, I don't know why none of these spikes are hitting me, but they're not, and I'm gonna take it. And then other times I'm like, okay, we got this, nothing's gonna hit me, and then I start taking damage, and I'm like, okay, I don't know why, but it happens. So it doesn't make sense visually, I find. And then there's the other one you mentioned was the mining one. So you have this like light that shoots out, and then you have these mirrors you can use to direct the light around, and you have to hit this statue, and then you have to mine the middle, and then you can do it in 1 or 2 downs to complete it. So there's like, you get 4 of these mirrors you can place, and then there's 4 other mirrors that are already placed, and there's a bunch of walls. So you really need to figure it out. And it's like most of the rooms, unless I'm just like lucky or unlucky, however you want to think of it, unless RNG is on my side, but so many times you take your 4 mirrors and you go around the walls. You don't need to go through the maze of walls. You just go out the outside perimeter and you ignore all of the unmovable mirrors. Like, I feel like that happens every time, and I'm just like, man, I barely need to think in these puzzles, and I've done them like 10 times, and I'm already getting the same layouts over and over again.
When you do puzzles, any puzzle over and over again, the more you do it, the less you think. I think that's kind of just the nature of puzzles, especially if they're the same.
Another one, and this is the last one, and then I'll move my rant on. But before the path of the scarab, and then so the puzzle before Kefri, the dung beetle, you got a bunch of different puzzles you get to work with. But one of them, which is kind of cool, is you get a number. There's a bunch of different symbols. There's 9 symbols. Each one of them is it's connected to like a number. So one of them counts as 1, and then another will be 9. So it's 1 through 9 of these symbols. And then you have this like mat, and they have all these symbols placed out, and then you have a number, and you need to do the math to hit that number that you're given on this tombstone, which is kind of cool. But then what I realized is that you'll get, like, let's say you have to get 34, and then you have your layout of where all the tiles are on the floor. That floor tiles will never change. They are always that way. And if you get 34, you can run the same. You can just memorize what path you need to go. And I was surprised that it wasn't randomized every time to make you kind of have to think. So there's already a plugin out that will tell you, run on these tiles. You don't need to know what symbols are on there. Just run on the tiles and you'll complete it. You can just do that like every time. Which is, I don't know. It feels lazy. It feels like they just like got the idea of the puzzles, did it a few times, and they're like, let's just leave it at that. Let's not make it too hard. I'm a bit iffy on it. Anyways, overall, it's good.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying it. It's what I've been doing a lot of. I just haven't had as much time as I wanted to, but I love that it's solo because I can jump on. I have 40 minutes. I can jump on and send a few attempts on my own. I don't got to worry about trying to find a group of players who are all ready to go. So it's nice in that way. But yeah, that has been pretty much it on my end. Just doing some tombs when I have a chance, and then I always have like an AFK thing I'm doing while I'm at work, because I work from home. And right now it is splashing with my Pure at Castle Wars so I can get 800 tickets to fill out the collection log. So that is what I've been doing. And it's very AFK. It's kind of silly that that's the best way to get tickets.
Yeah, it's dumb, but at least you can sell them, like re-up the things, right? I guess if you're doing like collection log stuff. Yeah,
exactly. It's about 150 hours, which sounds like a lot, but like you just have to. You basically have 20 minutes of downtime every time you are doing the Castle Wars match, so it's not that bad. It's pretty AFK, and I can just do it throughout the week, and it'll take me like a month, and then I'll have it, and that's fine because what else am I gonna do? Yeah, that is basically it. Anything else you want to chat about before we get into like some of this juicy drama that's been going on? And
no, I think we should jump into it.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, Raid 3, Tombs of a Masket. Everyone was very hyped for this. Heartless, you mentioned on the day one impressions that you woke up at like 3 a.m. to do this.
Yeah, no regrets.
That's awesome. I woke up at about 5 a.m. and I had the in-laws were over to help us with the move and unpacking and all that sort of stuff. And I had told them all the day before, hey guys, to let you know, I'm going to be waking up early and you're not going to see me until after breakfast because this is why. And then I had to explain what RuneScape was and why it's important, blah, 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 blah. And you know what? If you ever want to talk about RuneScape to people who don't play RuneScape, but you don't want it to be like super, oh, tell me about this fun little video game you do, like this, where it's like kind of patronizing. Talk about the real world trading aspect of it and like Venezuelan gold farming and all that sort of stuff. And it actually is really interesting to talk about. Like I was telling them about it and they're like, what the fuck? This is a game you play? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty wild. So Tombs of Masket came out. We mentioned there's 4 bosses. So there's the Kefri, the dung beetle, Baba, the baboon, Zebek the crocodile, and Akka the, I don't know, Roman soldier gladiator dude. And then before each of these rooms, you have this puzzle you need to complete, and they're a little bit different. Some of them are a little bit thinkers. As you know, we were talking about it just a few minutes ago. And then once you complete all these bosses, you get access to the final boss, which is the Wardens. And it's a pretty hectic fight. Some people aren't happy with it. We were talking about on the day one impressions, is mixed feelings. It's really grown on me though. When I do it, it's like, it does feel really epic. It feels like a very epic battle. And, it is quite intense. When I got my first normal solo, it was quite intense. And I was pretty shaken up. But it was pretty intense. And boom, that's raids 3. But what makes this raid even more unique is you can do it between 1 and 8 people. So you can solo it. And what makes it even cooler is you have these options you can turn on or off. They're called invocations. And every time you turn one on, it will increase the difficulty in some way. It might make it so that your prayer, your protect from prayers aren't as good. So you'll take some damage. Or it could be something like, hey, you can't eat food, or they'll just straight up buff one of the bosses and they'll give them like new mechanics, or the mechanics will get even stronger. So you can turn these on, and when you do, your raid level increases. And as it increases from 0 all the way to 600, but no one's doing 600, more uniques get added. The chance of these uniques goes up, and they're broken up into these 3 tiers of entry mode, normal modes, which is 150, and then expert, which is 300. So it's a very accessible raid for anyone. But because of this accessibility of it, or at least the expectations of accessibility has caused like drama within the community. And it's like, I couldn't even really follow it, because it's like, it's very extreme on both sides. But Heartless, you were following this pretty closely.
I'll give you a rundown of what happened and then like the both sides' opinions. So basically, they nerfed it on day 2. They nerfed raids 3, in a sense. So one thing that they were concerned about was that people were just farming level 150s, and there was no incentive to push for higher levels because purples weren't like really increasing at a drastic rate. So the first thing they did was change it so that it's more, it scales a lot better. So, if you're going to get a purple one in every 40 raids in a solo at level 150, then you're going to get one every 20 or 18 at level 300. So, and then it's scaling between those two. So it's worth you pushing your limits to get better and better, rather than just staying stagnant at 150, which was kind of what the meta was on the first day. So that was the first change. And they also
nerfed it to make it. You don't have to go into the specifics, but did they nerf it to make it better?
Before we talk about anything, I'll talk about one gripe that I have, is that Jagex have not released the drop rates for the raids. And I understand maybe for the first day or for the first week, you don't want people to know, you just want people to have fun and not follow some meta. But after a week and then nerfing it, or making changes, I shouldn't say nerfing because there was some good parts to this too. Making changes to rates and stuff without telling people what the rates are they're just shooting themselves in the foot and asking for more backlash than they need to get. Whereas if they actually just drop the numbers, everyone would be on the same page.
See, that's interesting you say that, because I think it's good for them to release the rates, but I feel even after a week, to me that seems very soon. I would imagine maybe after a month or 2 months.
Players can data mine the rates after a week anyways to almost perfect. It happened with Nex. It's happened with Toa. So I don't really see the difference to just release the rates after a week. We're all adults. People are statisticians, and there are people creaming through the data. Keep getting in there and making plots and everything. They already figured the rates of purples after day 1, and that wasn't a huge rate to go up the levels. So I don't really see personally the point of them holding back the rates anymore. I think most people, whether you're a noob or whether you're high level elitist, I think everyone would agree on that point. So that's something to keep in mind as we talk about this. So allegedly they like slightly reduced the level of purples that you're getting at 150s, and then they increased them as you got higher and higher. So people were pissed about that.
Okay.
I mean, people are pissed about everything. Then they also they slightly increased the HP of like Zebek. They move the pots around so like you don't no longer get the white ambrosia potion, which like max heals you with power. So the pots became a little bit more annoying. They changed
Right,
P2
we should mention
wardens.
there's like a resupply section that you get hit with in the middle and at the end of the raid before the final boss. We can get some extra supplies.
And one of them is gross. It's like a one-click pot that like puts your HP to 125 and your prayer to 125. Szechuan Wan refers to it affectionately as the e-girl potion. So I mean they're really strong and like they're definitely useful when you get to the super high invocation raids, but they make like low raids pretty damn easy. And you can have like 8 of them going into the boss. Okay, and then the other major change they made was they changed P2 wardens, which is like when the obelisk charges, that's the first phase. The second phase is when the one of the 2 wardens comes out and you fight them. You used to be able to 2 down it and then like pretty reasonably 3 down it because this core pops out and you just like stab it a bunch of times with your best melee weapon or blowpipe it or whatever you just chose to do. Usually it'd be about 3 phases. They changed it so that the core is out for way less long. So you're basically looking at 3 minimum, more like 4 downs. So they made that fight longer. So Reddit and like the more casual player, I would say, were frustrated with these changes because, first of all, obviously they make the raid harder. And I think that's just anyone's going to be upset about that, especially if they're just getting into the content. That's basically the main thing. Like the raid was harder, but it wasn't like that much harder. P2, the wardens was like quite a bit more annoying. But the rest of the changes like didn't really affect it too much. So they were blowing it out of proportion in that regard. But there's also the other side of the coin, which is that people are pissed that Jagex just listens to people that are, on Twitter, high level players on Twitch, and they have a lot of influence over the direction of the game or like how things should be changed. I think it was a bit of a combination of both reasons why Reddit and like, we'll just say not everyone, but like Reddit and the more casual player were mad about this change. And Reddit took it way out of proportion. They're like, there's some great copy pastas to come out of this, but people saying like, oh, I can't complete the raid anymore, or like, why have you ruined Toa for me? And like, I understand where they're coming from. Like, it's frustrating. But yeah, they did blow it out of proportion, which was classic. Mind you, the other end of the spectrum is just as bad. So that was like the Reddit side. Do you have any questions about that, or did I pretty much cover it?
Yeah, I think you covered it. Okay,
so this is still day 2 or like week 2, right? Next, what they did was, so at the high level, it's called the high level community is like people who are elite players that maybe have some influence. They don't necessarily have to have influence on Jagex, but just people who are like have done everything in the game at this point, like Inferno, etc. I would say would be like high level community, but they have specifically the vocal ones, or like the ones who have Twitter accounts, the ones who stream on Twitch, etc. So people like AddyCon, who's like he's like one of the best players in the game. He was very vocal about the drop rates not being good or not being worth it for like 300 pluses. So he was like, what's the point of even doing higher level raids if you're not rewarded effectively? Which is a good point, right? Like if you work harder, you should be rewarded more. And just like a lot of people in the high level community saying, oh, like raids too easy. Like day 2, people already completing experts, breezing through solos. People with like D Sims out here completing solo raids. Like this is too easy. Have to remember that like this raid was meant to be like scalable, so like 0 invocations, like all the way up to 500. So that was kind of the whole point, was that anyone should be able to do, anyone with like reasonable gear should be able to do it. But I think they were a little bit upset that, you know, like so many casual players who like can barely do anything in the game are able to come in here, and then, you know, they're able to pull huge purples and make lots of money. So I understand the frustration on that side of the story as well. Like the raid, it was quite easy for those people. And the higher level, pushing towards higher levels is not appropriately rewarded. So those were like the two sides of the equation, the sort of more casual and then the sort of higher level player, and that's why they both had frustrations. I may have missed something, but that's the general gist. And people on Twitter, it was a gem going through Twitter. People are just losing their shit left and right. And then Jagex obviously made the changes, but you know, they didn't even go as far as some of the high level players went. So this is, I shouldn't be calling out names, but there's this dude called Lake who's like a super elite Iron Man. He's got a cracked account. He's got like 4,000 chambers, etc. You know, really good player. Some people like him even thought that the shadow of Tumakin should be locked behind 300 plus raids. It's like saying, you know, Twisted Bow should be locked behind challenge modes.
Right.
So I think there are also frustrations about people with those kind of opinions, and though that's like, you know, kind of an elitist opinion, in my book. So like only the best players should be rewarded.
Yeah,
so the best players should be rewarded at higher rates for being good, for sure, but that doesn't mean all players should be rewarded. So
sure.
Anyways, those are the two sides of the story. Yeah, so then what happened next? So Addy Khan specifically is like this British dude. He was getting a lot of the heat because he was so vocal on Twitter, and he's kind of behaving the, you know, the easy lynch for Reddit. And yeah, there's a couple other players, you know, like Coxie as well was taking a lot of heat for thinking the raid's too easy. You know, players who play 16 hours a day, etc. Anyways, it was blown out of proportion on both sides of the story. Like high level players weren't being rewarded enough, and low level players, you know, were pissed off that the raid is being made harder, and specifically that Jagex is catering towards like the higher level players, even though they didn't push it as far as they could have. They ended up reverting the changes a day after because of the backlash, which I thought was interesting. Now, my opinion of it is, I think Jagex, or I didn't like hate the changes. I thought they were good, especially the purple change was really good. Like making it so like you do want to push your players to become better. But I thought it was maybe a little bit all too much at once. You know what I mean? Like ultimately the game, this update was to get people into raiding. Like it's easier than Chambers, easier than Tob. Everyone seemed to be having a lot of fun. And while I think there certainly was changes that needed to be made, I think maybe it was a little bit too much at once. So yeah, that was challenging. On top of the fact that they didn't release the drop rates, like if they had just released the drop rates and shown that, like, you know, 150s, which is like an entry level normal, doesn't really change the rate of purples. Like I know they did nerf it a little bit, but they could have released the rates. It would have been probably easier for them to get these changes across. But they ended up changing everything back except for the purple rate. So purple rate is what they changed to. And they changed wardens, the P2 wardens, so it's like basically a guaranteed 3 down now. So basically everything's back to the way it used to be. I'd say it's in a better spot than it was before. But that was kind of the drama on both sides. People are just like losing their shit. So
yeah, that's one. I guess I should ask, what's your thoughts? Like when you go through all this, do you have any like thoughts looking back on it?
It's funny because I didn't get to play during those 2 days. So I think I got one raid in when they'd made the hard changes, and I was pretty frustrated with how much harder wardens were. But the rest of the raid was like pretty much the same. But then again, I am like an accomplished player. I'd consider myself an elite player at this point. You know, I've played for 3-4 years. I've done most of the challenges in the game.
Yeah, I would say if you can get your Inferno cape, then like you probably are up there and you can understand the high level perspectives. Whereas like for someone like me, I have a lot of PvM experience. I can do a lot of hard content, I can do Fasani's and all that stuff. But I don't have my Inferno Cape, and yeah, I can't often relate to the higher players.
Like once again,
higher level players.
You can't without the numbers. It's always hard to say. But things were data mined, so we had a little bit of information. But yeah, I think it's good to push people to become better. Like you want people to push themselves to the limit, to get better rewards and make them better players of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You also don't want to disincentivize people from learning the content. So it's just a tricky balance to walk, but I think what they're doing is like scaling the purple rate with the invocation level. I just thought like that's what they would have done from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't.
And I think
that way.
it was that way, but it just didn't scale as hard as it does now.
Yeah,
because 300s are 2.5 times better than 150s. And they're 2.5 times harder. I mean, from my limited experience, yeah, they are. So yeah. I know my opinion is like, yeah, Reddit takes it too far, but I do think we have an elitist problem in this game at the highest level. Not all high level players are like elitist there's a difference between elite and elitist, right? So elite is like you're really good at something, and elitist is like you're really good at something and you look down upon others.
Yeah.
Or like think they're worse than you, or like lesser players or lesser people. So I do think we have a problem with that in the game. So, people being like, oh, I'm really good at this game, I should be rewarded with the best. And players who are doing 150 shouldn't even be able to get the shadow because they're not good enough, even if it's a super low drop rate. People on entry modes, even if it was 1 in 100, shouldn't be able to get a chance to get a purple because you can complete it with a bronze simi. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So I don't agree with that opinion. I do think we have a problem with that in the game. And it's disappointing. And
we've always had an elitist problem, but I think of recently, it used to be just skillers. Like when I played I was playing in 2013, and there was always this problem of anytime like new skilling methods came out, so many like the 2 tickers and whatever it is, people going for like 200 mil experience. They were always upset whenever there was increased experience rates. We've kind of got past that a little bit, but now it's over the years with all these different raids and all this new PvM content. It definitely seems like it shifts towards the PvMers are a bit more like, now there's like the elitist problem there. It probably is with the skillers, but the game is less focused on skilling now and more focused on PvM. So I think it's.
And I've heard the argument like, I mean, like entry mode level raids being able to access purples at reasonable rates, even if it's just the Lightbearer and Fang. Maybe that was too much to start with. Maybe they really should only be rewarded when you're hitting 150s. Like that argument, I can go on either side of it. But I mean, if you're a super high level player and you see one of the arguments I've seen is, like a guy goes in with 10 mil worth of gear. Okay, let's say like blowpipe, whip, a level 150 raid, and they pull a shadow of Tumakin. Okay, now they have 1.8 bill. That ruins the game for them because there's no like sense of progression. I guess that's true, but like the chance of it happening is so rare, and like who are you to say that that's going to ruin the game for every player? Like it happened to me. Like I got a twisted bow on 4KC, and it kind of ruined the game for me because I lost my sense of progression. Was like everything got so much harder. But who am I to say that another player that wouldn't just boost them on to like loving the game even more?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance because like you reward someone with such a big ticket item early on, they might be like, "Is this good? Why is everyone freaking out?" It happened to me. It happened to me when I did challenge mode. I got the twisted kit on my first KC, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, freaking out!" And I was like, "Is it?" How rare? I have no idea how rare this is. To me, it's like you get it every time. It's
unfair to say that, like for that specific example, like yes, I got a twisted bow, and yes, it ruined my sense of progression. But did it ruin the game for me? No, because I made an Iron Man. Now I love the game more than I ever did on a main.
Wait, you got a twisted bow on your main account at 4KC?
Yeah, not in my name, but it was a duo split. So I got like 500. I got 500 mil. So I went from this exact scenario happened to me where I basically had 40 mil of gear, and then I got the biggest mega rare in the game. I got a huge split, went to the G, bought everything in my mind, And I was like, oh, well, now I have to do 30 hours of Vorkath to get something. Then I went to Vorkath, pulled a skeletal visage. No joke. Like 99 KC skelly visage when it was like 35 mil. I was like, oh, sweet. Okay, now I'm halfway towards my ancestral top. And I was sitting there, I'm like, shit, well, I just got super lucky 2 days in a row. And I'm still so far away from getting what my next upgrade is. It ruined the sense of progression for me. And I made an Iron Man. Didn't ruin the game for me because I found a new way to play and I love it just as much. But it's not fair for me to say that someone who had that exact scenario as me wouldn't just love it or think it's super cool. Because now they can start pushing themselves into, like, oh, like maybe they're going to learn Tob or they're going to spread their money out and buy some skills. Like forcing people down the same path. It's the same with Iron Man mode. Like, oh, I had to, kill Zulra to get all my seeds and get 99 farming, whereas people who are doing the farming guild, have it much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'd be elitist of me to say that, oh, they've made the game so easy. People should have to go through the hell that I went through on my account.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that's.
I do understand. I understand. Like, oh, like the game is easier. And does it undermine my accomplishments? Maybe, but it's important to recognize that other people need to enjoy the game for the game to continue to succeed and move forward. So I think it is important to keep the casual player in mind. And I think Toa I think it's a masterpiece of a raid. And I think with the changes to the purples, it's absolutely perfect. And now, all they really need to do now is add some kits to 300 pluses or 350 pluses. So there's some huge flex items for the end game players. Like people grind challenge modes, like hundreds and hundreds just to get the dusted omelet because it's a huge status symbol. People do 10,000, session 1, just 13,000 Zulra, to get a mutagen. He's going for the pet, but my point remains, people do thousands of KC to get mutagens. People do thousands of KC to get, ornament kits for, their rapier, their sang, or whatever. Maybe hundreds for that one because there's a lower rate. People are pushed towards hard content to get those untradeable uniques, and I think that's a really good way to do it. And I think Toa is just missing that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, you have to keep in mind that when was the last raid released? Like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
The average RuneScape player is a lot better than they were 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because the resources out there, the gear in the game, everything, every player has gotten, the average player has gotten better. So I think the raid was easier, right? Like, the whole system is you can add things to make it harder. So I think you have to keep that in mind too. So there are lots of factors, but there's people who've been talking. Have you seen the Torva ornament kit? Ooh.
I did. It's
hot damn. It looks
pretty good.
So it's like a dark red. It's gonna match the Sang kit. So that is something that you should grind for, in my opinion. That should be mutagen level. Let's say they release a Fasani's next, like a next Angel of Death that's soloable. Maybe a Torva kit is 1 in 1,000 out from that ball, or 1 in 2,000, so that it's huge hours to finish. Because then that's a huge flex.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's just one drop, and then you can color all your Torva pieces, but it's 1 in 4,000 to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you're incentivized to really push. Same level as mutagens, etc. Anyways, just a thought. But I think if they add stuff a Tumikin Shadow kit, but you can only get it at 400 plus, then that would give more incentives for these high level players to push for it.
Yeah, you want people to be in awe of your account, then you got these cosmetics to go for, and you don't have to worry about other people who aren't as good to kind of deal with FOMO, right?
But yeah, it can be sad to see people I've seen some accounts on Twitter, certain members of certain high level clans that are PVM raids 3 should only be for the best players. It's that's a very limited mindset, and it doesn't take the health of the game into account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It can be very selfish, and I think I agree. I think a lot of people get really good at this game, like the elitists, and they almost forget what it's like to not be good. Like the fact that we all look at fight caves, the lava cape, and a lot of us might be like, oh god, that's so easy. I can't believe I had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
But we know that almost every player is going to have a very hard time with it. So it's like I think people might lose sight of it. And
yeah, I had a guy message me the other day. His thing on Discord was like asking me all these questions about fight caves and being like, oh, sorry to bother you. Like, I know it's not a big deal. I was like, no, it's a huge deal, man. Like, you're going for your fire cape, and it's a big deal. Like, everyone went through that.
Mm-hmm.
You're totally right, Dilz. Like, people at the top end are so far removed from what it's like to be a casual player or mid-level player that it's hard for them to empathize with them sometimes. Whereas like I don't want like, don't get me wrong, I don't want people with 10 mil gear able to just grind through and get ridiculous money per hour. Like I don't want them making like 20 mil an hour because that's not good for the game as a whole, but for them to be able to get lucky would be good. But realistically, if it's probably 1 in 50 now for a 150 per bowl. Like that's 25 hours of gameplay. Seems reasonable. Sure. So even if they are relatively easy, like still a lot of time you have to put in to get something. There's also like a million completions, man. Like of course people are gonna get fucking lucky. Like yeah, I saw a guy with 7 out of 7 completed at 120 raids, but that's just like mathematically that's going to happen. So there's gonna be someone who has 0 completed at like 400, but they're not gonna post about it. So I think it's just a little overblown, and people, especially Jagex, tends to make knee-jerk. I'm not saying this one was a knee-jerk reaction. They obviously did listen to players and they have their own data. I think they tend to knee-jerk reaction based on posts, based on like people getting lucky or content creators complaining. They've done it in the past. Like they did it when Konar was released, and the drop. Remember when it used to drop like 200 toad flax at a time or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Foe was just like got super pissed, and then they like hard nerfed it. Now Konar is basically garbage. Even for mid game players, Konar is terrible, I would say, because you're better off just like going to Duradel and getting better tasks, honestly, to get your Slayer up faster than doing like trolls in Keldheim dungeon or whatever. So there's that to think about. And then there was the classic Basilisk Knight one. Do you remember that? Oh my god, the drama, Dills.
Vaguely. I don't know if I was playing a lot when it came out.
So they released that Master Quest, what was it? Fremennik Exiles. So you have to have some decent stats for it. And they released the Jaw, the Nade's Not Jaw, which was going to go on the Nade's Not Helm. And it was the new best in slot for melee. And came for Basilisks, which were like a mid-level Slayer boss, right? They're like 60 Slayer to get. Mm-hmm. So anyways, Sick Nerd gets one on 8 KC or something, and then basically goes on to complain on his stream for a few hours about how easy they were and how a best in slot shouldn't come from such an easy mob.
Right.
Then the next day, Jagex double the HP, make them way tankier, add a stun mechanic with a max hit of 40, out of the regular max hit of 20, and also make it so that the Jaw is 1 in 5,000 off task. I mean, Sick Nerd didn't ask for that, but I mean, he was complaining. And they took it way too far. And I'm pretty sure he admitted after, but they just listened to this and made like a knee-jerk reaction based on, a post.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, Basilisk Knights are just fucking awful. At least make it 1 in 1,000 off task so you could just go and get one. Brutal. The same happened with Next. And the same happened next, right? Like, it's the first content we released in 2 years. First new content. Everyone's doing it, and worlds are absolutely maxed out. Oh, Jagex the week later. You know what, guys? Torv is coming into the game. There's too much Torv in the game. We're gonna nerf the drop rates by 20%. It's like, what? It just doesn't make any sense.
There was a time where like Jagex just never nerfed or buffed anything. They never really tweaked anything, which was really frustrating because they would release Zulrah, and Zulrah would piss when Zulrah was first released. Everyone called it the money snake because it pissed out so much money, and then eventually people were like, "Yo, this is this is kind of crazy that we're getting this much money from Zulrah. Like, we're talking like 5 mil an hour or whatever it was back then. And this is before we had any other thing. So it was like,
you're right. They're in a hard position because.
But the thing is, like, they never touched it. They were like, we have 3 mil an hour from this boss. The next best thing is like 800K an hour at Wyverns or something.
But if they'd nerfed it, people would have been, the average player would have been super pissed.
Yeah,
right?
but eventually they did nerf it. They actually nerfed it like 2 or 3 times. And now it's where it's at today. But it would go like months and months and months and months. And they would like go on dev streams like, yeah, we know Zulrah pisses out a lot of money. And then they finally decided to nerf it. But there was a time where like they just never nerfed things. So if things were overtuned, you're like, shit, is this just how it is now? It
just warps the game. Yeah.
And another problem was when they released the ballista from Monkey Madness 2. And what people were doing with PKing is they would wear full range void. They used the ballista and no other items. And they would just destroy people. It was so strong. And people were like, yo, this is fucked up. And then they were like, okay, let's pull it. And then it failed. Of course, it's going to fail. The PvP community was bigger back then. So a lot of them were like, I don't want to be weaker. Hell no. So it failed. And then it took such a long time for Jax to finally be like, okay, we probably should nerf it because this is very unhealthy for the game. And that was the first integrity change. But so there's a time where we never got any nerfs or buffs, and that was really frustrating. But now we have today, which is like the exact opposite, where like, to me, it sounds crazy to release content and do these massive nerfs. If you know that's great, but to do all these massive nerfs 1 week later, and then you revert almost all of them, like it's like, do you have like, are you just like guessing what to buff and what to nerf?
See, and that's the thing where it comes into like the high level players having a lot of influence.
Yeah.
So I know they're in a tough spot because like for this Zulrah example, like, yeah, it should have been nerfed. And if they don't do it, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think they could just be a little bit more transparent and it just make things easier for them. So like releasing the rates and showing how everything is going to change. And like maybe it's not worse for the average player, but you have to work slightly harder. And then if you push yourself, you're going to get rewarded at a lot higher rate. So I feel like if they come out and done that, like maybe this change would have gone down a lot smoother for them. Or like when they nerfed the blowpipe, everyone was like, whoa, the blowpipe. Dude, when they nerfed the blowpipe, I just sat on my kitchen floor, just stared at my phone, reading through the vlog. Because I was like, man, I spent my whole summer going for this, and now they're nerfing it. Thankfully, I'd used it enough, so it wasn't so bad. But I was sitting there, I'm like, what am I going to do now? So I was upset. And then a few weeks later, they come out like, oh, the crystal bow, the bow Ferdinand's going to be introduced to the game. So there's going to be this bridge. It's like, well, why didn't you just come out with that on the day that you nerfed the blowpipe and just be transparent about, because they obviously knew they were going to do that as a stopgap. Like, why did they have to go through why weren't they just transparent about the changes they planned to make?
Yeah,
it would make things easier. Anyways, I'm not here to like shit on Jagex or anyone.
Well, I do agree that I hate how they will look at like what a couple people are saying on Reddit and Twitter, by the way, which is like the average player probably doesn't even look at social media. The average player just plays. And but you look at the people who are the most dedicated, and I guess you do want to take their opinion because they know a lot about it, but you have to also realize that most people will say things like selfishly, not what's better for the game, what's better for me. And, you know, we just mentioned that a lot of elitist high level players, they kind of forget, they're out of touch with the average PvMer. And then I would see things on Reddit where it was like very disingenuous in what they were saying, where like this person posted, hey, this is how easy Tombs of Amasket is. I can complete it with a rune crossbow, full salad robes, and Ivan's blast. That's how easy it is. And they were showing you how you did it.
Yeah, check their mains, Casey, and they have like 78 infernos. Yeah,
exactly. It's exactly. That's what you might have seen the post, but that was one person.
I've seen a bunch of them. It's those like facetious posts. Yeah,
yeah. You look them up, and it's like, oh, this person's really good at the game. Of course, you get to the point where like, yeah, you could probably beat whatever boss with a bronze dagger if you're good enough, because it's just the mechanics that you're dodging. It can take a while.
I mean, like, now, everyone knows Raichu in our clan probably is the absolutely sick account, nicest man. I remember like ages and ages ago, he put this screenshot up of completing a solo chambers, like a really good time with like an MSB and like a DSim and everything. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, this man's an absolute gamer. He wasn't being facetious. He's saying it can be done. And the same thing goes, like, yeah, people complete Inferno with like, monk's robes and rune crossbows. It's like, but those people are so good at the game.
Yeah, that's not really a good you can't
comparison.
use that as an argument for the average player, because it's like,
exactly. Yeah,
you give the average player the best gear in the game and they're probably still going to fail at most things because things are tough. And now, as like my experience with Tomb of a Masket is that entry mode is quite easy. You can do it. I was doing it on day one with people in level 80 and level 90, and there's 8 of us, and it was very accessible, but it was fun. Now I was doing solo normals, and it was kind of hard. I struggle with it. And so then I see these posts of like, this is how easy it is. It's like,
they do get a lot easier. Like the more you practice it.
Yeah.
And I would say the completion rate
though.
for the average. Yeah, it is tough, but the completion rate for an average player is a lot. Like you're going to be able to do it if you give it enough practice and have decent gear and decent, like you have a fire cape, you have decent experience, Major Arena 2, if you've done a couple chambers, you can solo Toa.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was struggling, but I knew that I'm like, if I just keep doing this, I'll eventually be able to. It's not like I'm going to be never able to do it. And then of course I got my first completion, and now I'm getting to the Wardens every single time. Now I might die and have to restart at Wardens, but I'm getting there. And but it's tough. It's not as easy as I thought it would be, because seeing all these posts, I was like, oh, if it's really that easy, I should be able to just do it my first try.
Yeah, you're also the man who took 69 completions to get Fasani's Nightmare Case.
I know. 13 hours at Corrupted Gauntlet before I got my first kill.
And that's the thing, like, entry mode, once again, like, no rates, so it's hard to say. I don't really think entry mode should be something that you should push players to farm in order to get uniques, like purples, that is.
Yeah. I think
just like at Gauntlet, one of the best pieces of content in the game, Corrupted Gauntlet and Gauntlet in general, people don't sit there and farm regular Gauntlet. They're incentivized based on the drop rates, because it's almost 5 times better to do Corrupted, to learn Corrupted, even though it's significantly harder. That's the way you should push Raids 3 as well. So entry mode should maybe just have, I don't think it should have access to any purples personally, just because I think you want to push, or if it is, it should be like super rare. So you want to push, but you should get the jewels. You should be able to like learn the raid and slowly increase your rates and stuff. But once again, it's hard to say without, like, just with Corrupted Gauntlet, you really want to push people towards that. Maybe people do like 10 or like maybe even 50 regulars, and then they're like, okay, I'm ready for Corrupted. Let's go do that. And then they get better and better at the game. And I think that's the way Toa should be. And I think the rates the way they changed the purple rates has made it like that. And I think overall a good change, but the way we got there was like a bit circuitous and a bit flamey on both sides. So it's a tough one. It was a tough situation. A lot of drama.
Yeah. Overall, I think it's good though. Like, my own personal experience, entry mode's great to learn. Normals is still going to kick your ass. Like, the average player is going to have a tough time, but you'll also, you got to learn it. You got to relearn it again, because it is going to be quite difficult, but not impossible. So
yeah. So I think over the next month, I'm going to push towards solo 300s and learn them and see how it goes. I think Insanity is what I need to turn on. That's the one where they're like 2 tick at the final phase. I haven't tried it yet, so that's my goal, and I will let you know how it goes.
Very, very exciting. Anything before we move on? Like any final thoughts of everything that went down last month?
No, I think overall Toa has been just a fantastic update. Like, it's such a great raid. It scales really well. I really love it. And I just love how much it's, you can change it a lot to fit who you are as a player, and I think that's effectively rewarded now. And as they add kits and stuff in the future, it'll be even better. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just overall a fantastic piece of content, and I'm happy to see lots of people enjoying it.
Agreed. It's fun. It's cool. The bosses are all pretty awesome, and then the final boss, it really grew on me. The final boss is like, when you're learning it and you're like really struggling to get that KC at Wardens, the atmosphere of it makes it feel so satisfying when you do. But it was a bit of an adrenaline rush when I was doing it, so it was pretty fun. Cool stuff. Now, we got one more piece of content to talk about, or future piece of content. Less exciting for most, more exciting for like a couple, I bet. And it is the Quest speed running. If you like just don't consume media outside of like maybe your cable TV, speedrunning's a thing. People like to do things fast. They like to go real fast in games. And a lot of us know there is this whole community of speedrunning. A lot of these games that we played when we were kids, and then you grow up and there's better games out, and normally they would just die and no one would ever play it again. But because the speedrunning community is so big, there's people speedrunning like every single game that you might have grown up playing. It's become this like big old thing. And they're kind of bringing that idea and bringing it into RuneScape, but specifically for the quests. So they want to open up these new servers, kind of like Deadman mode, kind of like the PvP arena worlds, kind of like, no, that's about it. Maybe leagues when it's going on, but you log into these worlds and your account is going to be kind of like wiped clean, but you'll be set up with a specific loadout depending on what quest you want to do. So you're going to get to select what quest you want to do, and it will give you the loadout, and you will start, and then it is a race to complete it. And then completing it will, there'll be high scores for it, and you'll be able to be there'll be like medals, trophies you can unlock, bronze, silver, and gold. It looks like depending on what time intervals they have. And there's also going to be speedrunning points, so you'll get points depending if you get gold, silver, or bronze. And this would allow you to, if you really want to collect all of the speedrunning points, just try to get gold on every single quest. So that is it for the most part. They say there's gonna be no tutorial, no trading, no PvP, no access to mini games or other PvP content like that. Teleport cooldowns are paused on logout. Pretty much it. It's just going to be strict speedrunning. The idea is not for you to go like farm Zulrah. You can't even gain experience or anything like that.
What do you think about this? Is it a separate world and server?
Yeah, it looks like it would be. So you go to a separate world and server. You'd still have the Heartless account, and then you could like grind out these speedrunning tasks.
Do you think it would be cool if you could do it in the main game, like redo quests?
Yeah, I think it might be cool actually, and maybe it'd be cool kind of if you could walk by and see somebody like doing it. It'd be kind of cool to see like, oh, this person's doing it. I don't know how you would do that, but I think that'd be kind of cool. Have
all your gear and everything you've like accomplished. So
yeah, I think the idea is they don't want people like, oh, you don't have like the best gear, then you can't do Dragon Slayer 2 speedrunning. You're never going to get gold or whatever, platinum, whatever the tiers are. They want you to be able to just go in,
right? Because you don't have
grind
like,
out.
So you can just use any gear you want. Yeah,
I see where you like everyone
from.
will have the same loadout. I think it's easy, the best way to like standardize it. They talk about rewards too, and right now the idea is that depending on how many points you have, you'll get trophies that you can carry around. So there's bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. That seems to be kind of it in terms of rewards. Actually, no, that's a lie. There's an adventurer's outfit. They say it's going to be very similar to how leagues work. There's going to be tier 1, 2, and 3. This will be tradable, and there'll be a new teleport animation called the speedy teleport. It will make it look like you're running really fast. Maybe there's a giant clock you can carry around. So like personally, I think this is like, I don't know. I mean, I don't see any harm in it, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking like this is going to be something lots of people like to do. I can't even see this pulling in players that want to try it. But
yeah, what if it like upgraded your quest cape to be gold or something, or like the color of? Ooh. You see, now we're thinking
that could be interesting. I don't know. Are you like big into like speed running or watching speed running content?
I think Deegan and I talked about speed running being one of the directions that the game can go in when you're like a high level player. So we talked about speed running or basically collection logging being, and like we're talking like post max kind of level of stuff, like when you're out of goals out of reasonable goals. Those are the kind of the two things people go for. Or maybe like, I guess pet hunting kind of falls into collection logging at this point, but that used to be the old one, but it's expanded. So those are kind of the directions that you push your main account into when you get into the ultra end game. So I think it has a place there. It just needs to have adequate rewards that are actually worth going for.
Yeah, I think it also has to like feel fun. Like, I don't watch speedrunners on Twitch and I don't watch like speedrunners on YouTube, but what I do like to watch is I like people talking about, I like commentary on top of the speedrunning. So like someone who's like, breaking down, I think was it Summoning Salts? I think that's the YouTuber.
So you're talking about like GDQ type stuff, like Games Done Quick.
Yeah, like I don't even like watching someone do that, but I like if someone were to like break down, you know, there's a video that I really liked on YouTube that I've watched a couple times, and it's about this one level in Mario, the very first Mario game, and how it's like it makes or breaks speed runs. And here's the like evolution of how people were figuring out how to really like zoom through that level. And there's all these like exploits they've figured out. That's what a lot of it is, like exploits and how to do things quicker. And it all talked about this one level that could make or break a speed run. And so I really like watching videos that really dive into it. But watching it itself, I'm not really into it. But
yeah, it's fun to see people at their best.
Like yeah, and I like when someone's explaining it to me, so it's like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, and so it's like, I guess it's not a bad thing for this to come into the game. I think it's good.
No, it's of course. I think it's a cool project, and I think people will be interested in it, and there will be a community of people that are super into this kind of stuff. People love quests. I like quests too. Like, yeah, I spacebar through them, but I've always enjoyed them. Like, I enjoyed the sense of progression of like getting to a quest, completing it. Dragon Slayer 2 is still one of my favorite memories of all time.
Oh yeah, it's a great same.
It's such a good quest. I've told this story before, but when I was an absolute noob and I just like on my main and I'd completed like Monkey Madness 1 type level of player. I remember Slayer music was like the king. There was no plugin back then, so I would just watch the Slayer music Dragon Slayer 2 quest and be like, oh my god, 2 hours, this is awesome. And I watched through like the whole thing and just hearing the music and just watching him die to Galvek, like everything was just so good. And that really pumped me up. And then when I finally got to the quest and like got to watch the video, but this time I was doing it myself, it was such a cool moment. So I think, yeah, replayability in quests is good. Imagine having to do one small favor, and so I got a sub 35, one small favor, no big deal.
I mean, it would be kind of cool if someone was just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would like to watch. There's going to be some like YouTube channels or whatever that pop out all about speedrunning, and I'll get into that.
It's a good thing, man. I think it's really cool, and people will be into it, and there's going to be a community built around it. So yeah, it's good to bring it to the game. I don't see why not.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think. Okay, this makes me want to rant a little bit, but
okay, do it. Send it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We need like a soapbox intro. You know what I mean? Like we have the conspiracy music, which has been away for too long, by the way.
I know.
We need to pull. I can't believe Deegan and I did like 4 hours of podcasting and didn't pull out the tunes.
Things have been kind of good, I guess. No corruption going on that we know of yet.
Yeah, we need a soapbox track. 100%. Okay, get on it. What do you got to say?
Yeah, maybe people send in your ideas for like stuff. But I feel like kind of burnt out. I'm so sick of getting stuff that like getting updates that just suck, and it's always comes down to like menus and UI, and they're also god awful. And I know it probably has to do with the engine work, but like, you know, this quest speedrunning, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it looks like it could be great, but I know that there's going to be so many parts about it that are just wonky and janky, and it'll have you being like, is this the best way to navigate through this, or is this the best way to set it up? Really? I did in the PvP arena, I was doing it the other day. It's such a janky system, and like, first off, there's no reward, so you don't have many people doing it because of that. But on top of that, because it's such like a pain in the ass to navigate and queue up for the PvP arena, like it's such a pain in the ass, nobody really does it. And it's just sucks. And then we look at the clan system. Yeah, the clans is great, but goddamn, it's been almost 2 years and we don't have any.
Don't you dare say it's great. It's fucking awful. As administrators of a clan, Dilz, tell people how bad it is.
So I should say, if you're a member of a clan, it's probably fine. It's probably no problem. But if you're like a mod or an admin, it fucking sucks. Like all the tools you have in place are useless. Like, what's the hell? Like I can sort every clan member by their total levels if I wanted to. That's great. If we want to bring out like a total level rank, I can do that. And then I should be able to see, okay, this person has 2,000. He gets this rank. This guy has 1,900. Maybe he gets this rank. So that's like, you have the option to sort by that. But when you click the option to sort your members by the total level, it says these people need to be on your world. It's like, when the hell are you ever going to need to do that? When the hell do I ever need to see, okay, everyone log in and jump to my world because I need to see? Like, no, why would you even include that? You may as well just take it out.
Oh, man.
And if you want to kick someone from the clan, you need to go to your clan members list, and then it'll have 2 sorting options. So it's usually set by default by sort by rank and then sort by when they joined. But if you want to kick someone, you need to change one of those sorting options to kick. Like, why can't I just right click their name and kick them out if I don't want to? Can't do that. It's weird. And then like for another example is we have events in the clan that you can like set up in the actual game so people can see, hey, there's a bank standing event happening. But when you want to set it up for a date, you don't put, I want it to start Monday, September 5th. No. It asks you, how many days from today do you want this to start? So 0. It starts 0 days and then it'll automatically schedule it for tomorrow. But like, so whenever I've had to schedule like skilling events and stuff, I spend like not 20 minutes, but it's like 4 or 5 tries being like, it starts 6 days from today. Oh wait, sorry. It starts 5 days from today. And it's just like, why can't I just type in the date? I know a lot of this boils down to like engine work, but like happens every time we get an update where there's menus. People are like, why is it like this? Like, why in the last leagues, part of the biggest problem with the leagues 3 was navigating the menus to set up your relics. It's such a pain in the ass. So I see this quest speedrunning thing and I go, oh, this looks great, but it also, I know it's going to be super janky. And it's like, why can't things just be clean, easy to do, intuitive to navigate? Like, why is everything like super weird? Like, even our settings, when you want to like do your settings, like, oh, you go into your actual in-game settings you can set the values to like when you get a warning when to drop something. But if you want to set the warning for when you alch something, no, you have to go into your magic spellbook, right click the alchemy symbol, and then set the value from there. Oh, and if you want to switch your option to like automatically pick up arrows right into your inventory, you got to go talk to an NPC who's over here. He's in Lumbridge. And it's like, I talk to people all the time that are like, I had no idea you could do this. And it's like, yeah, of course you didn't, because it's all over the place. Anyways, so the speedrunning looks great. I'm excited for that to be brought in, but it's just, I know that the menu, it's going to be like, oh, this is how it's all set up. This is clunky as hell. It's just frustrating.
I understand the frustrations. Don't start your own clan. Come join the Wild CC.
Yeah, exactly. Let us.
We'll deal with the frustrations for you.
If I want to change everyone from one rank to another rank, you can like move ranks around, but it doesn't automatically assign them. So I need to like manually assign all annoying. 500 people to a new rank. And like whenever we
bingo, man.
Oh yeah, during bingo, it's like hours of work, and we like, hey guys, I'm doing it, but I'm going to take a break, and then someone else jumps in, they continue it off, and then someone else, hey, we're all done with. It is insane that you can't just like quickly swap ranks. It has to be done so slowly. And if you ever want to add a rank that you didn't have, oh man, is it going to just throw everything out of whack. Anywho, so that's why I get like, when I see this sort of stuff, it's like, we're getting to a spot where like there's so many menus and all the menus are so annoying to navigate through. Anywho, I'm sure this will be fine. Anything you want to add before?
No, I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers it.
But so I think the content will be great. I just worry because I see this as like a a foundation to make yet another clunky menu or some clunky system that we're going to look back on and be like, why isn't this better than it should be? The content's always usually pretty great. It's always everything around the content that's like, what happened? But yeah, engine worked. Okay, the last thing we have to talk about was the Gillinar Gazette for August 22. Going through it, though, there isn't really much. They're just teasing things that we've already talked about and teasing things that already happened or whatever. So there's nothing really of substance through it. Yeah, except for, I guess, world first Tombs of a Mascot normal mode completion by 54N Kappa and a meme Hard Snickle, Kano, Oblivion, Ponari, Oblivion, Yummy, and Rovent. So congrats to you guys. And world first for expert mode was Oblivion J Rays. So congrats on completing it.
Congrats, Oblivion. I have a friend in Oblivion who's an absolute comedian. So they did this video where they had to show up at the Tombs of a Mascot, and they had to be wearing a scythe, full Torva, and either a mutagen or a crystal crown or something. So they're all everyone's just obviously decked out in best in slot melee gear, and they all had their infernal capes on. And as it gets closer and closer to the stairs of a Mascot, coming into the pyramid, there's where all their leaders are, and he was in the middle, and he was a snowman. he put the snowman transmog on. Oh, the guy's he's the absolute stall king. There's this thing called it's called a keg. I don't really know where it comes from. I think it's a Calquat keg, basically.
Oh yeah.
But when you drink it, it will animation stall. So he does some crazy things with that.
That's sick.
Where he's stalled it out and then ran down one of the next channels, turned into a snowman. Yeah, he's the troll king for sure.
Shout out to the snowman.
Just thought I'd throw that one in there. But yeah, anyways, it's pretty cool that they posted these things for people who completed stuff.
Yeah, it's fun to give a little shout out, some recognition, and yeah, if you're a clan putting in work, maybe one day we'll see wild.
I mean, hey, I was one of the first 300 people to complete an expert.
Hey, where's your shout
Not
out?
Bad.
Damn it! Come on, Jagex.
Yeah, where's my shout out, dude?
Bastard.
Late night, dude. So many deaths to get. That was so frustrating. It's fun though. So many people have completed it now. It's definitely doable. Yeah, man. Tombs of Mascot is just a great raid.
It is. It's really cool. All right, but that's about it for updates and all that community chatter and all that fun stuff. Let's take a quick break. We're going to take a quick little break and head on over to the Grand Exchange, where we can talk about how you can support the show if that's something you want to do. Some people messaged me over the years asking, hey, how can I support the show? And, for the first few years, we never had a way. I was like, just keep listening. It's fine. But, eventually I quit my job, went back to school. We opened up Patreon to help kind of cover some of the costs, because there are some costs each month with just hosting the show and the way podcasts work. It's a weird system, but it is what it is. So anyways, this is the segment where we get to shout out some of you guys and talk to others how you might be able to support the show. So if you do want to support the show every single month, you can go to patreon.com/thewilderness podcast. From time to time, we dribble out some bonus episodes or some early access. Sometimes we go through some dry spells right now, but I've always got plans and always want to start pumping out some more stuff there. So that's something you're interested in and you just kind of want to help support the show, you can head on over to Patreon. But I do have to shout out our top tier supporters, which are Bronze Yon, Yolfi Ferric, Strocity, Oh My Lord, Pete Jackals, Mallard, Spleemo, and Yay Fiber. And thank you guys so much for being our top tier supporters. But also thank you to every other person as well who does continue to support the show, guys. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. But you know what? For whatever reason, Patreon's not for everybody. So instead, if you want to do a one-time donation, some people prefer to do that, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/Dilz. You can do a pledge for a coffee. So thank you to Waging Wars and 2JZ Soup for keeping me caffeinated this week, guys. Thank you so much. And last but not least, some people have Discord Nitro, and with that, you get some free boosts to go towards servers. You can also pay for it as well, but I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it. I definitely think the Nitro, people who are into Discord and want to pay for the Discord Nitro, best bang for your buck. You get the 2 boosts anyways, so you can send it to discord.gg/the wilderness. And the reason we have that unique URL is because of Toddy, Battle Stabs, Chick, Cosmonaut, To You I Say, and Twisted Soul. You guys are keeping the server boosted and giving us a whole bunch of perks and everyone else involved. So that's discord.gg/the wilderness if you want to get involved. All right, guys, that is it. So let's get back to the show. We got some callers. All right, we are back. Well, we aren't back. Heartless had to step out for a moment, but I'm here and he'll be back shortly. But in the meantime, we have some callers. So you guys, funny enough, get to co-host with me for a few minutes. So our question of the week last week was, what do you like to do when you're doing a non-engaging activity? What does it like to do when you relax or you're doing something that's more chill, or one of the more tedious grinds? You know, something like fishing, fishing, cooking, a lot of those AFK or buyable skills, or even like, you know, I find kind of Temperos pretty chill, like stuff like that. Stuff that has like no, it's not like high stakes or anything. There's like no risk to it. Like if you fail in Temperos, you just kind of wasted time, or you get less points. You don't lose anything like you would if you're, you know, killing revs in the Revenant Caves. So let's hear what our first caller was from Mr. Matacause1.
Hey guys, it's Matacause1. I'm at the office right now if you hear any background noise. I wanted to respond to the question of the week. What do I do to make my grinds a little bit easier? So as a kid, I used to do long grinds as I was watching my sister play Zelda, or I remember oftentimes I would sit on the couch and watch my sister and her best friend play Just Dance as I was alking, high alking at the Grand Exchange. But I often got distracted because my sister's best friend was also my crush at the time, and it was hard to not get distracted by watching her dance. And then as I got a little bit older, kind of just do the same thing. I like to be in company with somebody else. I never like, just sitting alone and watching TV and doing a grind, but I like being in company with somebody else. So maybe I'll, sit on a rocking chair and watch a show with somebody else, or I don't know, play with my dog with one hand and mobile on the other hand. So anyway, that is my answer, and glad you're back, Dilz. Hope your move went well. See you guys.
Matacause1, always a pleasure to hear from you. That is quite a bit to unpack there, but definitely some great tips. I know when I was younger, in elementary school or a bit high school too, so like 12, 13, 14 years old, one thing that I did all the time, and it's when I look back on it, most of my time playing RuneScape, it was spent chopping magic trees. I've probably referenced this a few times, but I did it all the time. I would come home from school at about 4 p.m. till about 9 o'clock at night. I'd be woodcutting all evening, and it's crazy. It's not fun. It's not even good money, but I always did it. It's not great experience either. So leveling was really slow. But the reason I did it was because if you ever did something like that and you stuck to one world, I was always world 18. It was one of the Canadian worlds. So I'd always choose that one. And you always had the same group of people on world 18 at the magic trees just south of Sears Village. But not the fort trees. You go to the fort trees, a whole different group of people. But it's just the three. And then you would see the same people all the time. It's like a group of friends. And it became like, you'd all hang out, you'd be chatting and talking and just woodcutting. And it became, that's what I just loved to do, just hanging out with some friends there. I did it all the time. And yeah, eventually I do remember getting a TV in the same room the computer was in. And it was like a game changer. Because we only had one computer for a while. So me and my brother, Deegan, we would have to take turns playing on the computer. So it'd be like an hour on, hour off. Or when we used to play StarCraft, online, like the multiplayer. You would be like one match on, one match off. And what we used to have to do is one of us would have to run to the library. It was just down the street, luckily. But we would run to the library and then we'd spend the hour there playing RuneScape while the other one was playing it. And then we would switch. I don't know. I guess we switched because you would get kicked off the library computer after a little bit. So we would just go and swap out. And then eventually we got the TV in there. And oh man, I remember getting the Xbox 360. And that was a game changer. First time I ever played like multiplayer, like online on like a console, right? First person shooter and stuff. And that changed everything. And then we would swap out things there. But yeah, that's funny. And of course, the classic is that's one of the beauties of mobile is that you can just sit on the couch. Then you can sit with your wife or friends. Maybe they might get mad if you're like watching a movie and you're just playing RuneScape there. But I know, like, me and my wife she'll sit there, she'll throw on some reality TV, and I don't hate reality TV. I can tolerate it, and sometimes I do enjoy it. Like this stupid series called Selling Sunset, and then there's a bunch of spin-offs. It's just this reality show, and it's just like drama and stuff. But it's fine on the background. I can just listen to it, and then I just play RuneScape right next to her, and it's pretty chill. And yeah, that mobile gaming is a game changer. So thank you so much for sending that in, guys. I want to hear from you. What are some tips for, like, what do you do? Yeah, what do you watch? What do you listen to? There's so much. I have a hard time consuming all the content that I would like to. Too many YouTube channels, too many streamers, too many shows on Netflix, and all of that fun stuff. By the way, I do have to make this shout out before we move on to our next call in, but if you're looking for a show to watch, of course, I'm going to recommend Nathan For You. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's so friggin' funny. It's on Comedy Central, I believe. And they just recently came out with a new show, which is, in a way, it's like a successor of that last show. It's so funny and creative. And this new show is called The Rehearsal. It's on HBO. It is so funny. It is kind of deep at points. Like there's a few parts that almost made me cry. It's kind of emotional at times, but it's one of the most psychotic shows I've ever seen. And I can't really even explain it. Just the budget for the show is so large that they are able to do like whatever they want. It is very creative. It is so friggin' funny. Please go watch it. And then when you watch it, send me a message so that we can talk about it. It is one of the best shows I've seen. And it just finished up recently. It's like 6 episodes long. But holy hell, it's good. So if you need a show to watch when you're doing it, go check out The Rehearsal. It's amazing. All right. But we got another call in from Mr. Busco Beep. He's calling in to let us know what his favorite RuneLite plugin. This was a question from a few weeks ago. Yeah, what's your favorite RuneLite plugin? Actually, might have been longer because there's been this gap when I was moving. Anyways, it's from a past episode. Let's hear what he says. What is his favorite RuneLite plugin?
Hey guys, Busco Beep here. In regards to the question of the week on the third-party plugins, I gotta go with the DPS calculator. Has to be my favorite. I definitely don't use it all the time, but when it comes to theory crafting, it's super fun. Or even just wondering, should I be on stab, slash, what type of attack style I should be on. It's always just fun and interesting to see what your DPS is and what the best way to go about it is. So I think that have to be my answer for that question.
Busco Beep, thank you so much for that call. And that is a great suggestion. It's not one of my favorite plugins, but it does make me think about the way DPS is in this game. It's kind of funny. So I used to play, as many of you might know, I used to play World of Warcraft a bunch, and DPS charts were super important because you had to see how well you're performing. And if you were in competitive guilds, it was pretty important to hit like an actual, it's not like a requirement, but you definitely didn't want to be in the bottom percentile when it comes to DPS, because when you're in a raid, you have a bunch of people and you're not able to kill this boss. The last thing you want is for everyone to kind of look at the DPS charts and see, oh wow, Dilz is really, really not doing enough DPS, and I wonder why. Is he just not good? Is he lazy? Is he on the wrong talent tree? Whatever it is, there's a bunch of reasons why your DPS can be low. But of course, it was always like people were always pushing it to be like the number one DPS, the highest in the DPS chart. So it was always fun. But your DPS were always like, it was high, lots of numbers, thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. I can't remember. It's been so long. And then moving, but it was easy to see, right? Okay, 500,000 DPS, that's great, versus this person who's got 350, whatever. Now, in RuneScape, though, the DPS is so much lower, right? We know this, but like, there's so many charts that I read. It's like, your DPS is 9.6. And I'm just like, and then this DPS is 10. Okay, I know 10 is more, but is it, how much more is that? Is that a lot more? Like, do I want to sacrifice maybe whatever? Do I want to sacrifice inventory slots? Do I want to sacrifice food in order to bring 0.3 more DPS? Is that a lot? It doesn't seem like a lot. Should I be doing that? So the DPS kind of throws me off sometimes. I don't always understand, is like 0.1 a big difference? I know we're always trying to min-max, like one hit. People are always like, okay, Heartless said it earlier. Oh, well, you get the shield and it gives you one hit on your Sang Staff. That doesn't sound like much, but people will be like, no, that's very important. Me, even with like 6,000 hours, I'm like, yeah, one hit. I know it's better to have one over nothing, but how much better is it? Is it a game changer? I don't know. I always find it kind of hard to crunch numbers in this game because it's just, things don't get broken down as easily, I don't think. Yeah, like, is 9 DPS significantly less than 10 DPS? We know it's less, but is it like a big deal if I'm pulling 9 DPS and the person ahead of me is pulling 10 and everyone else is pulling 10? Are they going to be like, dude, you are not doing any damage? Or are they going to be like, you know what? It's 9. 10 is better, but it's not that big of a deal. I always find it hard to wrap my head around it. And it's even when you bring down like defense, like I know, okay, big number is better, but by how much? Again, World of Warcraft, you could look at your defense, you could hover over and it would be like you're blocking 90% of damage. Oh, that's good. You're blocking 30% of damage. Okay, like you could see it. Here, RuneScape's a bit different, and it's always been very tough for me to figure out, like, at what point do you sacrifice your strength? Like, at what point do you sacrifice damage for accuracy? Almost always damage is king, but every now and then you want to go with accuracy, and I don't know why, and I don't know when that shift happens. All I know is that somebody tells me you want to bring this weapon over this weapon because it's more accurate. I go, okay, I don't really know why. I'm not sure what. I can't, if you gave me the stats of 2 weapons, I can't be like, oh, this one has less damage, but because it's more accurate, it's better for these bosses. I have a hard time doing that with this game. I wonder if other people are similar. If anyone can point me to like some way of actually wrapping my head around how this all works, please let me know. When I try to watch videos, I feel like I'm watching like someone explain coding, and I'm like, okay, this isn't even fun to learn. This is like, this doesn't make sense. And it is because it is, I guess. I don't know. Anywho, guys, thank you so much for that call in. Of course, we need to have a question of the week. I wish Heartless was here to hear this one, but I was thinking, because we gave you a little rant from earlier, what is your gripe with old school RuneScape? What is a rant, or what is something you need to get off your chest about this game? I'd love to hear it. We were talking about a little bit when it comes to like some elitist attitude, which by the way has always been in this game and happens in like every game. It is what it just happens, right? When you get enough people, the 1%ers kind of, they group up and they are very opinionated. Just it is what it is. But my gripe, one of the things that I was going to rant about earlier, but I figured I'd save it for this part, is it has to do with the raid as well. Raids 3, Tombs of Masket, is that I get very frustrated when it comes to movement in this game. I hate the way movement is in this game. I talk about it, how it's not intuitive, it feels unnatural, it's hard to kind of understand unless you got plugins kind of showing you, breaking it down. It's confusing. And if you're early on in this game, you won't notice it really, but once you get to the end game PvM, you do start noticing it. And there's this hill you need to get over where it's like you understand it sort of, but you don't have you don't have a grasp of it. And then you get over the hill and then you understand it and everything's great. But there's so many times, especially in this raid, where I die and it's not because I screwed up. It's because I just didn't mean to click somewhere, or I did. And it's like, there's a phase with Baba where he rolls these boulders and it's so frustrating to die because the boulders are going and you have to move out of the way, get behind one boulder and break it. So many times I will get hit by boulders and I go, oh my God, I didn't mean to walk there. I should have been able to dodge it all, but I didn't dodge it because I didn't click diagonal. I just clicked left, but it looked like I should have been fine, but I wasn't. So many times I die because of movement, and I'm not, it's my fault, obviously, but I feel like I didn't get killed by the boss. I got killed by this game engine, by how the game is working. There's so many times where like you die from something or you screw up and it's like, holy shit, I didn't intend for my guy to move this way, right? So when I look back on how many bosses that I get frustrated with, it always has to do with movement, and because I got killed because, well, I clicked here, but I didn't intend for him to move this angle. I thought he was going to go this angle. And it's not until you can kind of understand, it's once you complete the Inferno, like you understand movement better and stuff like that, you kind of know that, oh, if you click this direction, if you click north, he's going to go this way. If you click northeast, he goes this way. If you click southeast, he goes kind of a different angle. It's confusing, but I think some of you guys will understand what I'm talking about. But I know whenever I die on something, when I was doing Fasani's Nightmare, it was hard. It was tough. I messed up mechanics. I died. I would just go, I'm dead. Oh, but I know why I died. I do Cryptic Gauntlet. There's so many times where you're just like, holy shit, I thought I dodged those. I clicked. My character looked like he dodged all that, but he didn't. Or I clicked, and then suddenly I clicked to attack the boss, and suddenly my character's running on little disco tiles that are going to hurt you. And I'm like, but I didn't. I had a halberd. I shouldn't have clicked. I shouldn't have got so close. There's supposed to be a gap. He should have been fine to hit him from this angle. It's very frustrating. Anyways, that's my gripe. What is your gripe in this game? I want to hear it. What is something you need to get off your chest? What annoys you? Let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it. Okay, but that is the question of the week, and it looks like Heartless is coming back. So let's get back. Let's get to our outro, or housekeeping. Well, guys, if you want to hang out with us in the clan, Clan Wild, WILD, you can join, and then you just got to message one of the mods to actually open applications so you can join. It all ties back to like the weird systems to do stuff, but that's just the way it works. But hey, if you want to join our Discord, it's discord.gg/thewilderness. We can hang out there instead. And our email is thewilderness.podcast@gmail.com. We can send in if you want to answer some of the past questions of the week, you can just type them in there, and that's quite all right. And you can send us your own questions or stories, or tell us your opinions, or if we said something and we were wrong, let us know, because I always enjoy getting emails as well. And I have a Twitter too, @thewildernessRS. You can send the same stuff there as well. I'm not super active on it though, but I do get noticed when people follow or send me messages or whatever it is. I think that's it. Heartless, anything you want to plug? Did you stream any of the raids there?
No, I haven't streamed since I got the double dust.
Yeah, see, that's it.
I was the one and done, just got the RNG and then dip.
Well, when you really need that,
I'll probably get into it again. I will do it again.
Yeah,
I will, but
when you really need
the
that
time
staff,
is right,
that's the time.
When I'm getting desperate for draws,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah, there it is. There.
But yeah, I have a Twitter as well. It's Heartless B.
Heartless B.
I never use it,
hey,
but it's on there.
It's there.
It's coming. Sure is. Yeah, the Twitter. I've been on Twitter recently, just like to follow the drama and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a wild place, man. Holy,
it is. It's pretty brutal. Just I don't know. I never really got into Twitter, but it can be pretty brutal.
It can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It was a good discussion this week. Hopefully that brings everyone up to speed on, where things are at in the community. But yeah, TOA's a good fun, and you should go try it out.
Try entry mode if you're looking to dip your toes in. It's it's pretty good. All right. Of course, our song of the week was sent in by Cosmonaut. And he sent in Pick and Shovel which is unlocked at Motherlode Mining, specifically when you enter the lower level, which requires 30 mining.
That's Looks like my man's had to get his mind level up for Tombs of a Mascot.
Accidentally left the music on when you walk into Motherlode Mine, and what is this?
Hilarious.
The song was made by Maud Ash himself, so he always makes some great songs. And I saw something the other day. Maybe we can find. This is probably going to link to a conspiracy somewhere, but Maud Ash is one of the last really long-term devs for OSRS.
Yeah, I'll do some research and then we'll conspiracy that next week.
Sounds great. All right, guys, we'll get raiding and yeah, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.